Hey, and welcome to the Heartbreakers podcast with your hosts, Elsa Jean and James Maas. Hello, and welcome to the show. How are you, Els?
Good. How are you? We're excited.
We feel more in a flow now.
Yeah,
We've changed.
We've changed. Within the 2 episodes, we've changed, and I was literally just saying, I feel so relaxed this time.
Those first ones aren't even us. That was
I don't know why
us.
it's so nerve-wracking. I don't know why.
No,
right?
we're really
You know
natural.
what I mean?
No, what I think it is we're so exhausted by the time that we do what we do in a day and then get here and try the equipment part. But now the equipment is just up and running and we're really
I think
happy
that's
about
what
that.
really stresses us is we try to get the cameras correctly, and
Yes.
we just want it to look good, and then we're kind of just like at the end, whatever. Our podcast is about just being,
Our editor has the funnest job of fixing our mic technique, anyway, they don't need to hear about
I
our
don't care.
whole process. So anyway, what have you been up to since our last ep?
So I've just been working on content. I have some articles coming out. One just came out, my Blockster one.
I saw that. It
So
looked really
that's
good.
exciting. I'm talking about, Web3 and my NFTs and the metaverse, and just my new stuff that I'm working on. So it's kind of cool to see an article, about it.
Your
And
whole Google world is about to change up. People are
I
not going
think
to know
so. It's
what.
really exciting. It's just something new, and I'm glad it's working out for me because
Yeah.
remember when I would talk to you about NFTs and kind of what I
Yeah.
wanted to do, and you're like, I think that's such a good idea. And
Yeah, but it doesn't seem real until you see other people starting to ask you about it and being like, what are you doing there? Media outlets
Yeah,
coming to you and
being
being
interested.
like, whoa, this is an interesting way to use that technology.
We'll see. I think I'm going to be able to do a lot more with it, and so I'm excited.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got a tweet earlier that you wanted to share, and we were going over the tweet. I wanted the goss on that tweet.
Oh, the guy that DM'd me? Is that what you're talking about?
It was a DM.
It was
you
a
were reading it, and
DM.
you're like, oh my God, I'm going to bring this up on the podcast.
I wanted to bring up, it's kind of, I think everyone can relate to this, and it's, why do people always come back even if they did something slightly wrong? Or have you ever had that issue with you've been in a relationship with someone, they mess up and you leave them, or they even leave you, but they always come back? Every single person I've ever even slept with, maybe just one time, always comes back.
So did you sleep with this person one time?
I slept with him once. Okay, I'll tell you quick, tell the story. So it was actually my birthday 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. I was in Miami just as a girls' trip, and I was recently single, basically single. I had just left the guy I was with, and he was the first guy that I slept with, fully single. And he was 27. I was turning 25, and I was like, I've never been with someone basically my age.
Right.
But he lasted 3 minutes, and it was a joke with my friends because
that's it. I'm going back to the oldies.
right, or it was a joke with my friends because I was downstairs on the couch and we had a villa, and they were listening because they're such pervs.
God,
and they said how they felt so bad for
girls
me.
or guys listening?
Girls, yeah. So they felt they were
The girls like to listen.
They do, and the next day my friends were like, "I feel so bad for you because I really wanted to have sex that night. I mean, it was my birthday. I was drunk. I was high.
And you were like, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, nothing.
Yes, and I was kind of like, seriously, but I wasn't gonna call him out for it. It was fine. And then after that, I invited him to a basketball game. One of the players had asked me to come. I was sitting courtside front row, and I invited this guy with me, and I'm making out with him the whole time. So the player was like, "Oh, come on, why'd you do that?" But I was like,
you are so mean.
I wanted to be like, "Oh, just because you."
Yeah.
I wasn't into the guy, the player.
Yeah.
And I wasn't into the guy that
was
I brought.
he hitting you up incessantly after
He
that?
DM'd me, and he was kind of like, "Can you come to my game?" Or would you be interested in coming? I was like, "Absolutely, they're fun." I went. I brought a guy with me. He didn't say, he gave me 4 tickets, so he didn't say you can't bring any.
Brought the guy to his game.
I brought another guy to his game. I know. I feel bad about it today.
How old were you?
25. This was 2 years
not
ago.
That long ago. You should know better. You've grown a lot in 2 years.
Well, and also I wanted it to be I didn't care. I really didn't care. I didn't want anyone just because I went somewhere thinking that I was in a whole different headspace then. I didn't want any guys telling me what to do, whether it was even in the slightest or just because I got invited somewhere. I didn't care about the player. He didn't even have my number. So that's whatever. But the story is I brought him to that game. I'm making out with him, and he kept saying to me, he's like, "Stop, stop. You don't know how I feel about you." And I slept with him one time for 3 minutes. So it's kind of like, that's weird to say to someone. He's like, every time you touch me, I can't get you out of my head for months. And I'm like, that's weird. So then months later, he's like, he wouldn't hit me up, nothing. I didn't want to hit him up. And then I was supposed to go to Miami to another game, and I didn't wanna go anymore. I said, he's the only one that I knew in Miami. I said, "I have courtside tickets. Did you want them?" He's like, "That's perfect. It's actually my dad's birthday today." And I go, "Here you go." I mean, these tickets, courtside tickets for Miami Heat, they go for $15,000. I coulda sold them for 30 grand. I had 2. So I was being very generous by giving these tickets over. And he said, "Well, can you fly and stay with me still?" And I said, "No." What? Like, and then he goes,
You're so the dude in these relationships. You're
it's
just
not a
like, "What?"
relationship.
You're
I
like,
slept with
"I
him
mean,
one
that's
time.
true." You're like, "Dude, why are you like this?"
I slept with him one time. There was no
Yeah.
excuse. And then,
You're like,
so then
maybe
he
you were his first. I mean, he lasted
no, he
3
was a
minutes.
club promoter. That's what I'm saying. Like, he was a club promoter.
So what was the
So
DM?
the DM was, I didn't go fly to see him. And he goes, "Well, whatever. All I wanted to do was say that I fucked you. That's the only reason I
Oh, that is
fucked you." So
so
I
rude. After
blocked
all
him.
of that, like, guys, that is such a baby
It's such
move.
a baby move. And I
Ugh.
blocked him right away. So the DM is a year later saying, "I know you blocked." Should I read it?
Yes. No names, but yes, definitely
Oh,
give
and
us
he's a
that.
twin, and okay, so I
Is
slept
the
with him
twin hot?
twice.
Oh, well,
They
he's
look identical,
identical.
and I slept with
Maybe
him
he
one
lasts
time.
longer.
Well, listen, I slept with him one time, and then I slept with him and his brother, but they didn't touch each other or anything. We might need to edit this out.
It is totally staying in. It's fine. You're a changed woman
So,
now.
I know, I
We get
really am.
it. Like, 25 is still really young
It is.
to be like not having this kind of fun. And also, guys are the only ones who usually get to do this kind of thing and feel that type of way. Whereas you're just like, why can I not at 25 years old act like a dude?
I've never felt like
Yeah.
I don't have the capability or I can't
Yeah. Equal
do what I
opportunist.
want. Okay, this is
Yeah.
the DM. It says, "I know you blocked me or whatever, but I honestly wouldn't disrespect you like that. It was a conversation between us, and that I'm sorry if you took offense to that. Wasn't my intentions, obviously. You and I were friends before anything else. Wasn't about the sex or how I'm attracted to you. You were just cool people and we got along."
And when was this message?
I've seen this guy twice, 3 times my whole entire life.
And
Actually, twice
and
because
so he's just all of a sudden out of the blue recently come back and been like,
I blocked him. I slept with him twice. One time by himself, he lasted
after he
3
said
minutes.
that, I would have blocked him. Like that whole,
I blocked
like
him
I
right
just,
away. I
yeah,
gave him $30,000 worth of tickets that I could have resold, and he said,
yeah.
"All I wanted to do was say that I fucked you." And
That's
I
so
was really
rude.
offended
I'm
by that. I
glad that,
didn't get a thank
yeah,
you. I could have just given them
mm,
back to whatever.
yeah,
So that's my point is I feel like every person always comes back in some sort of way, and that's why you should always be the
mm,
bigger person when you either leave a friendship or a relationship. I make a huge point, and
yeah. You don't like that's a sore loser for sure.
I think so. We were
That
kinda
can
talking
is
about
so big.
we
Sorry.
were kind of talking about remember how you said that you like to be friends with your exes?
Yes, definitely. I'm friends with all of my exes. Like
I wish I could be like that.
even when it hasn't been amicable to begin with, I kind of just I want to take the high road. I mean, it might be because I'm a people pleaser, but I like having that claim to fame too, with that it's like I'm friends with all my exes. So I always, I mean, it's not like even if you feel right and they feel right, you both like think that the other one has done something wrong by you. And I get that. Like, I don't have to be right in the scenario and be like, see, you lost me because you fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, do you know what? Let's agree to disagree. It's not going to work. But, I put in the extra effort to just be like, if you wanna be friends, like, I'm totally here, and I totally understand that you think that I've done something wrong. So, like, without being,
Well, you're
condescending about it, I'm just like, "Yes, what you believe is true, just the same as I believe that you're the reason for this. So, let's just not have to have an end goal to this argument and be like, that's why it doesn't work."
one of the things that I really like about you, and I think why we're friends, is that which you've never done anything wrong to me, but I see that you're very quick to admit to when something that you've done isn't you know what I mean?
So I
Like,
just don't think it's that scary. I mean, for the amount of
yeah.
times that I do the wrong like, have an accidental wrong thing, comparatively to the amount of good things that I do, I'm like also getting out in front of it right away. Like it's just like this imaginary thing doing something wrong. I'll be like, "Oh my God, like that is totally my bad."
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not like I'm doing if I was 24/7 being wrong, I mean, I think that people would start to be like, and then I
Right.
might start hiding it because I'm
No,
pretty
for
much good
sure.
for most
Saying
part.
that you're wrong and saying that you're
Yeah.
sorry isn't an
People love an
excuse.
apology. People
They
love
do,
it.
but it's
Like,
also not an excuse to do wrong, but
yeah.
I really think that that's a good quality of
Thank
yours
you.
because I don't have that quality. It's very hard for me to admit when I'm wrong.
Really?
Yes and no.
'Cause
If
you're so
I
elevated and smart in so many areas, and you understand the point of, like, what people think, and you dive deeply into that. But it's interesting to hear that you don't know how to be wrong.
I know I'm
You
wrong
just
all
don't
the
wanna admit it.
time. I think I have a pride
You don't wanna give
issue.
them
I
that.
think that
Well, it's probably their fault anyway for
and a
being
lot of
me.
times right, well, I was gonna say a lot of times, I'm a very compassionate person, I think you know that, and so when I do something wrong, it's intentional for me to do something wrong, so no, I'm not sorry
Well,
yet.
that actually brings us to our first question,
Okay.
which is a perfect segue. I love it. And it was about actually, okay, damn, now it wasn't our first question, but it was that one about you. Oh, more clarity. First question, guys. More clarity on why you've been a serial cheater and why you wouldn't cheat today. Once a cheater, always a cheater? Question mark.
Um,
Cheater?
so I was a serial cheater. I was very open about cheating in every single relationship. I would even tweet the times that I cheated, like, haha, just tweeted or just cheated. I remember one time I tweeted sex feels better when it's cheating. Remember when I did
Oh my
that?
god, your tweets used to be
It used
like
to be really good.
insane.
And I had no problem with cheating for whatever reason. But I am best friends with my boyfriend. I really am. I tell him everything. I'm with him all the time. And I don't know. He truly is my best friend. So when I do something that I know maybe would hurt his feelings, not even intentional, I'm quick to, you know, I don't know, feel bad about it. So I don't think I could do it. I don't think anymore I could do it. One, I've seen the
Is it because you had
consequences.
the quality of guy that you were after before was kind of a little bit less serious or less,
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with I was dating men that I felt like were comfortable and not necessarily I was attracted to.
oh, yeah.
And I was attracted to them at that time, but it was almost out of comfort. Like I'm gonna date this type of person because I felt like they weren't gonna cheat on me, and that never worked.
Just then
And
like, the actual, like, lovey feeling chemistry thing. Like, you can like someone a lot,
right.
but, like, without having that actual
I
chemistry,
think that has a lot to
and
do
you
with
used to choose it out of maybe self-preservation,
yeah,
you know?
and I always ended up getting cheated on by a guy that I felt like should have never even been close to cheating on me. So I always had that fear in general. And then the guy that I'm with now, it would be so obvious for him to cheat on me that it's kind of like I don't have that fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay,
Like it's
that's
so
good.
obvious. Does that you know what
Well,
I
and,
mean? Like
maybe he's the honesty part that you were saying before, you're pretty honest,
I'm
right?
pretty
So,
honest.
like,
Yes.
just being upfront and not having like, I feel like he'd be already 2 steps ahead of you because 'cause you're so honest.
Yeah. So I genuinely can say with 100% faith that I would never cheat on the guy that I'm with now. I really believe that. I don't have
Have
any
you guys ever
temptation
entertained other people in the bedroom? Or is that off? Yeah,
together.
yeah, together? Oh,
Yeah,
great,
all
great,
the
great, great. Yeah,
time,
yeah.
but, maybe that has a lot to do with it.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, see, honesty
we
brings you the cash and prizes regardless of, like, how you feel. Because, like, if you come to all of these honest, like, places together, kinda like what we were talking about last episode about getting to a place of honesty, and that builds trust in the relationship then, because
yes.
then when you bring up a subject like having a three-way, it can really be moved forward
Yeah.
because, like, well, it's not just all of a sudden out of the blue and also not from someone that's not secure.
Yeah, so I genuinely think that it's that once a cheater is always a cheater. I don't think that. I could say that I've always been a cheater and I would now never cheat, and there's multiple reasons why I wouldn't, but
I think that's a good answer.
I
I love it. Next question is an online relationship a real relationship? I like that one. I wanna hear
I like
yours.
it too because I think that that is such, a thing now, dating online and almost never meeting the people and being catfished and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna say no. I don't think that just chatting with someone and just texting someone is a relationship. I think meeting them in person brings it to a
It
relationship
might be a
level.
friendship,
A friendship,
not a relationship.
it
I
could
agree.
be there could be romance,
But
it could
how
be
do you
sexual
really
even,
yeah.
but how do you I think for an actual relationship, it has to be even if you see each other once a year, there has to be somewhat of an actual in person
At one point, and then
at
if
some
because
point.
some people do really long distance. I know we have a question about that later, but that's, like, something some people can't like, they work in another place or, like, if you're feeding your family back in India or whatever, but they at one point, they were together and
Right, and I
it's
think
like,
with
how do you
COVID
really know
too,
someone without that intimacy, like, of being in the same
you
room?
have to be physically
Yeah,
together for it to be a true relationship.
because
That's
it could
my
be many other
opinion.
kinds of not relationship, like friendship, it can be other
Yeah,
ships.
that's a pen pal.
Yeah,
That's a pen pal at that
yeah.
point. Actually,
Maybe a good
whatever.
one and a virtual sexual pen pal.
Yeah.
This person says, "Blah, I've had sex with like 10 guys in the last week. Does that make me a sex addict? I love sex with strangers. Is it bad? Should I stop?" 10 guys.
Um, I don't think so. And this is something that my therapist told me because I
What?
had sex with 10 guys in one day,
In one day.
and I was like, I was hard on myself about it, and I told her, I was like, "I don't know why I did that." And she's like, "Well, why shouldn't you? If you were pleased 10 times by 10 different people, why is that a problem? How are you affecting others?"
I'm
She was like, "Were
still
you
like,
safe the whole?" Yeah, I
no
was.
judgment at all. I'm just like
10 guys.
imagining that there's like how many 12 waking hours in a day.
Yeah,
But do you
10
know what?
guys.
What she's saying is true because like if you're able to get off that much, like I've
I enjoyed all 10 of them, and,
so then
um,
who do you have to answer to about that?
no
No
one
one.
no one you
If
don't
you're
even need to.
actually enjoying it with a good intent and it's not for another reason, which you really can sometimes be a little bit like make sure, like asking your therapist and finding out, I mean, she would have known you because you'd been chatting to her.
Right.
But like if someone is doing something that pleases them, that's the operative word, that pleases them, do it as much as you possibly can
I
until
agree. Until you
it's not
can't
pleasing anymore.
anymore, until
Yeah.
as long as
But
you're safe.
addiction though
Oh, true. As long
is
as you're safe.
something that you pushing like a pleasure button. I think
Well, I think what
but then
comes
feeling bad after it, were you feeling bad after it and then she took that away from you? Because there's a blurred line between feeling bad for something that society says isn't right because it's just been ingrained into you, kinda like
yeah,
masturbation and things like that. But if you have really enjoyed it, like, and it's not just feeling bad from that. If you're feeling bad after hearing this maybe, then maybe there's, like, something else that you're trying to press there, whether it be,
right.
like, that pleasure button so many times to get out of, like, your real life.
Loneliness,
Yeah.
maybe work stress, any sex could be
Mm,
a distraction for just about anything. I know for me, I was just being single, having fun,
yeah.
being young, and I think society, I was kinda like, "Oh, man, why did I
This
do
wasn't
that?"
running your life,
It
right?
wasn't, no.
Exactly. So if something's not running your life and dictating exactly what like, I mean, if it still feels good to do and it's not ruining your life or taking out you're not, like, cutting work
I
to
think when it comes to being
mm,
highly sexual is you need to figure out the reasons behind
yeah,
your why you're so sexual, and there could be, like we were saying, multiple reasons, whether it could be,
right,
"I just like to be pleased," which is completely fine, or am I
yeah.
trying to
Escape something else.
escape
Yeah.
something? Am I needing something that's not pleasure emotionally, physically? Am I lacking something? But I don't think it's anything to judge.
This next person asked something similar. So, like, I'm tired of having sex with strangers. I want a monogamous relationship. Can you help me? Not similar in the way that they sound like they're tired of it. So they said that they do not know how to not hook up with people. So kind of like what we were saying
Mhm.
would be the other spectrum of that, which sounds depressing, really, because they are on apps and it always leads, like
To
Tinder and that,
sex.
it always leads to sex, but they don't want it to. So, like, what do you think? Any suggestions on how
This
to?
could be good. That could be a good question for you because I know you kind of like to wait, right? And I know you're not necessarily on apps, but
So I don't feel like if anything, I'm the reverse of feeling like you need to give it up to someone for them to like you or for it to get another date. It's just the opposite of how I feel. Like I feel like I've always waited and not because I was like, "Oh, look, I'm gonna get him." But, like, one thing about me though too is that I kinda like a little bit of story build up to it. So, like, I want them to want me for the longest possible time in a way of, like, imagining what it's gonna be like what Andy Warhol once said about, like, don't tell the kids to have sex right away, like, to tell them that the best thing about it is the thought about it. The actual
Yes,
act of it
that's
isn't as
smart.
exciting, so make them wait as long as they can. Don't tell them that it's really not as great as the imagination makes it. Although it can be really great and having sex, all that, I think that I always really just enjoyed that moment of, like, people are gonna hang in there to get you and have sex with you, and it's only gonna intensify over time, or else you don't even need to be dealing with that person. They have their own sex addiction situation if they can't hang around.
So do you tell people from the beginning, like, "Hey, I'm not interested in quick hookups,"
Yes,
before you even meet them?
yes,
So
and
that could be like a
I
way to
do, yeah, definitely, I tell them, I just say, "I just have a rule, I don't do it." Definitely on the first date for sure, and I just say I just stick to my guns about the fact that I don't find that personally, like, that it attracts me more to someone to wait because then also it's not so animalistic if you're not looking for that anymore, it's more about, like well, also just, like, watching them like, suffer a little bit. Because
Well, yeah, that's a thing. So I
it was like
think
the first time I ever got okay, when I was married, I met my partner and I paid for dinner the first night. He was older than I was and way more successful, but I pulled my card out. So I'm
I've
like the
done
young
that.
one, and then I was like, I I never paid again. And he
I
literally told me about it years later, was like, "Yeah, that was a real false economy, you pulling your card out that first time. You never had to pay again."
I
Um,
did that to a billionaire. He
uh,
gave me a gift and some cash the first time I met
yeah.
him, and I gave it back. We
Oh,
talked for 5 hours, and then he finally gave me this gift, and I did my research on who he was before,
yeah.
obviously. So I don't think he thought that I knew who he was, and I handed the stuff back and I said, "I really just loved spending these 5 hours with you chatting." And he's like, "I've never had anyone say that to me before," and knew him for 10 years after that.
Oh, where is he now? Can we call him?
10 years, yeah.
Uh,
And I knew him for
but
years and years and years
that's
before we
something
even
that
were
just
physical.
sticks. Like, when you know that you can make something different, like, don't do the normal thing that they would be expecting like that, like, pull your card out, make them wait, stuff
We
like
didn't
that.
have sex
It's
for
not a
years.
huge manipulation mind game thing. It's more just, like, knowing your worth and also
Yeah.
just making it a little bit different because, yes, just like you're saying here,
And
is that it
making
always
that
leads to sex. Everyone expects that immediately. Make them guess a little about what's gonna happen.
For sure, and also, like, not even just sex, like, I feel like I made him feel like I didn't need anything
Yeah.
from him, and so we
And
waited a
even if
long
you're
time.
lying, make them feel like that. Because, like, how annoying would it be to be that guy and just be like, "This
Yes.
is expected of me." At least make me I would literally be like, at least pretend to not be like that so I can live in my own fantasy of
Yeah.
not being someone that everybody takes all that I mean, it's gonna win for it works for both of you.
It really does, it really
Yes.
does.
All right. The next one is I'm attracted to my best friend's ex-boyfriend. They aren't together anymore. I think he likes me too. I want him so bad. My best friend wasn't even a good boyfriend. He cheated on him. Anything you suggest? Should I avoid this at all costs?
Yeah, we kinda answered this one, a while ago. Remember the girl was into the best friend's ex?
Uh-huh.
Um, I say stay away from exes and best friends and all that kind of stuff. It's not worth it.
Right.
The
Just
simple
gets too messy
it
unless
gets
but what
too
if he's the one?
I
I
don't
don't think the
agree with
universe has a
that.
plan like that for you. Stay away from the ex.
I truly don't believe
Mm,
that I mean, there's been times where I guess people have really worked out and stuff like that, but I think friendships are always more powerful than any
right.
relationship can be, and I think that's also why it's so important to be someone's best friend before you're in a relationship. That's also why my relationship now
I mean, they are
works.
trashing their best friend. They're still saying that they are their best friend. He wasn't even a good boyfriend. He cheated. Sounds like you have to work on that friendship
I
rather
think
than
so.
working on the ex. Yeah, definitely. All right, this one is how do you and your partner maintain a healthy work-life balance? How do you
Um
make time like for each other and know that like, okay, this is work, this is not, or are you not good at it?
I am okay with it. I kinda struggle. I think you see that I try to do everything, and I really fill my day up. But I
You
just
both need to be
keep
respectful of each other's time and
yeah.
work too.
Yes, so I think that honestly setting certain hours from 1 to 5 I'm gonna be, and I do that now, I'm gonna be working on content and
Yeah.
then, working on chatting with
Yeah.
fans, and I kinda just go through a list, and then I set away my evenings.
Yeah.
I think you know that. I'm
Yeah.
like, after, like, 6, 7 o'clock, I try to really calm my day down.
Yeah. Well, it can be unpredictable too, though, like, if
It's
you're
true.
on yeah.
That's a hard one. I think sometimes even if
Make
it's
time for each other, though. Like, obviously make time for each other, but, like, be respectful. I would say more than anything is to respect each other's boundaries when you're doing the work and set aside those days that you can just totally turn off and be there for each other. Okay, the next one is, what is the craziest thing a partner has ever done for you? Like, gift, maybe?
Yeah, I was just talking about it in my Discord. I went to the Maldives and a guy rented a private island and they took us on a
What?
boat. I have photos of it too.
Oh
They
my
took
god.
us on a boat and they cooked on the island, lobster, everything, and then they left us on the island and they came back and got us a few hours later.
Oh.
So we were the only people on there in the Maldives.
Oh my god, that's nice. And did it have a property on the
It
private
did
island so
a
you could just say
bathroom,
that?
a
Oh,
shower.
love it.
There
Who
was
was that? I mean, without
it was
mentioning
an
names.
ex.
It was an
Yeah,
ex.
yeah.
What's the most exciting place you've ever had sex? Any tips for someone looking to get into some risky fun? Where's the easiest
Um
place outdoors to do it?
Outdoors, it has to be somewhere really, really private where someone
What if
is
you want
not
someone to watch, though? Because like, a lot of people are into
well,
that.
then I would go to retreats where there's, like in Jamaica, there's one,
Ooh,
where you're allowed to have sex anywhere that you want.
and do
Um,
people stand around watching?
they can,
Oh,
or you
wow.
could go be by yourself because if you're caught having sex outside, you have to register as a sex offender, and that could
Oh
ruin your
gosh.
life. You have to be careful where you live.
Yeah,
You can't get
I didn't think
employment.
of that.
So when it comes down to public kinkiness, I say stay away from it. It's not worth the risk. But
Right.
there's actual places where it's allowed, like Jamaica, certain retreats.
Great, I love
Yeah.
that. Book yourself into a trip to
What
Jamaica.
was it
Where's the
called?
riskiest place you've had sex?
Hedonism. That's what they have
He
hedonism 1 and hedonism 2, so 2 different places.
Hedonism is the name of it.
Hedonism,
Well, if
yes.
you're
I
listening,
went once.
Hedonism, I would like you to send me a ticket
Yeah.
to
The craziest place I've had sex?
Uh-huh.
Um, I mean, just this typical
What's the
I mean,
craziest place? Come
we
on.
were talking about it last night that I was having sex in the middle of the street,
Oh
and
my
but that
god,
goes
I
against
want
what I just
more.
told you guys not to
I
do.
want more context.
Okay, you want the whole story?
Yes,
It's a
yes.
crazy story.
Okay, yes, we'll end with that.
I used to drink a lot, I think you know that. I used to party really hard. So this is when I first started seeing my boyfriend. We were in Cleveland, and
Uh-huh.
that's kind of where I'm from. So it was, what's it? What's that? St. Patrick's Day. So it was
Oh,
St.
yeah.
Patrick's Day, all the bars and stuff like that. So we have a table at like a club bar type of thing. I'm so wasted. I actually pull his cock out and start sucking it in the club.
In the
Okay.
club, were people watching? Like, did they start
Basically,
going,
he
"Whoa."
starts fingering my ass.
Oh my god.
But for a couple of seconds, okay? And then just a couple of seconds. So then that was already like
Mhm.
the start of the evening.
Can't believe you were gonna hold this little tidbit back.
I
Like,
know,
you had
right?
the
You gotta have
riskiest yeah, come on, keep
the flow.
going.
So, okay, so he whatever. Then we leave, we're wasted. We go to his friend's place. He needed to pick up some clothes. And so you brought this up last night too. You go, I don't understand people who are into piss stuff.
Oh, no, did I say
So
that in
I'm
front of the wrong crowd?
you
Oh,
did.
no.
So we go into the bathroom and
This
he
is the
starts
best.
fucking me in the ass. I get in the bathtub. He starts peeing on me. Then I start peeing on him.
Oh my
And
god. Oh.
then we
Literally at dinner last night, I made a comment about that. Not that I have, like, anything against it, I was just like, "I don't get
so
it."
we're really big
Oh my
into it. Yeah. So
god.
and
What
then
is it about it? Can you just tell me that before? Like, what is it about the pee?
I actually don't know. It's always been a fetish for me for
Does it so it
forever.
turns you on?
I think what's behind it is the release of it, the feeling good of when you go to the bathroom, you feel
Yeah,
good, it's that
uh-huh,
release. I feel the same way about someone coming. It's
uh-huh.
that release that I think turns me on. So anyway, so he's
Okay,
peeing on
yeah,
me, I'm
uh-huh.
peeing on him, whatever. We destroy the bathroom, and then we walk out, and we're so drunk that we leave. We leave and we go into the middle of the street and we start fighting up against someone's Jeep, and these people pull up and they go, "Hey, you guys wanna go to a party with us?" And I'm like,
like a
I
movie.
go, "No." Like,
We're in the middle
we're
of party.
having
Do you guys want to go to
sex
a
right
party with
now.
us? Oh my
That's
god.
the story.
Oh god, that was so good. We could not get better on this episode. So I think we will leave it there. Percolate on that, and we
Yep.
will see you next week.
Yes.
We make sure you click subscribe, comment, rate it. Everything is important to us to keep this going. We are so excited
Yes.
to
Always
keep
click my link
send us
and
questions
yes.
on the website, heartbreakerspodcast.com. There's a
Mhm.
place to submit your questions there and sign up for merch. Anything that you can do to do with this?
Exactly. Links are always in my bio. I'm always posting them on my social media, so
Yes.
I keep it pretty simple for you guys.
Yeah, and congrats on the blogster.com
Thank you.
today. Go check it out, everyone. All right.
Alright, bye.
Bye.